back to the Diabetic Diet Show. Today's show is pork meatballs and pepper rice. It's show number 215. We start out with some pork and pepper rice with a chipotle peanut sauce. So let's get started on our ingredients. I have 10 ounces of pork thawing in the sink. I put it in a pan with some hot water straight out of the freezer. Takes about 30 minutes. Then I have a red onion, of which we need to get cutting up here shortly. And I got a couple of tablespoons of Panko breadcrumbs. So Panko breadcrumbs, pre-measured out. Next, we have our sour cream. And by the way, you don't have to write down these measurements and try to remember this stuff. Just go to our website, which is jamestdds.blogspot.com, and there's all the ingredients and the measurements, and also while I'm thinking of it, in the lower right-hand corner is a subscribe button. I'm working trying to get my first 1,000 subscribers, so if you'd help me out by clicking on that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's keep the sour cream cold. Next, I have some water, a couple tablespoons of that. Now, you could use brown sugar or you could use stevia. I have it all measured out. And rice. I'm going to make some rice. I have the water start boiling. And peanut butter is on the list. So we're going to use some peanut butter. And also, besides the peanut butter, we're going to use a couple of tablespoons of pepitas. Pepitas are basically a seed that comes out of a particular type of pumpkin. There's two types. There's the oil seed pumpkin, and then there's another one, I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure Google knows it. So we're going to use those. And then I also have tomato sauce, which we're going to need to put in. So just a can of tomato sauce and follow the measurement on that. Let's start out by cutting up our onion. So I'm going to take with the root on the left and on the right, and I'm just going to cut it in half. And these little red onions are always a little messy. So get a wastebasket nearby so you're ready. Put a slit in there like that, and then pull the canopy off. Might as well just make a mess. What's the difference, right? Mm-hmm. I got a scraper. Mm-hmm. Barb said she volunteered to come clean it up. Mm-hmm. After the show's over, we have the 15 people in the cleanup crew come. Yeah, right. It's Barb and I cleaning up after the show's over, which is okay. We have a system and it works pretty good. We just make sure we don't eat any dessert before we clean up. Otherwise, James ends up taking a nap. A little slit in here. Make my life easy. Okay, there you go. That's good. Now, let's just go ahead and put a slit in here like this. Get a bottle of water. Now I'm kind of making chevrons here as opposed to some of the finer chopped things you've seen me do in the past. But this is what I planned for the recipe. Just like that. I'll show you the other way, just for the fun of it. So I put some slits in here. You can put them in 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/8 inch. And then you can just cut in like this. See how cool that is, how it cuts up like that, and then you can get some chevrons off the top if you want. Nice and slow. And then, if you want, you can do a finer chop. That's part of cooking. A little bit of cooking is being an artist and do things the way you want. I'm sure there's a proper way to do this. If I was a chef, I would know that. I'm not a chef, I'm a cook. I didn't go to school for this. I'm just like you. I like to eat dinner, so I cook because I like to eat. Truth of the matter is, I would like to make cakes and cookies and donuts and all the rest of the really, really good tasting stuff. Except for being a diabetic, I can't do that. So, I'm kind of stuck with just like making food that's good for me. So, that's why I say, you know, you don't have to use the brown sugar, you could use the stevia, you could use other things that are good for you. So, the first thing that I need to do is I need to mix in a bowl my peanut butter and my sugar. So let's use a small bowl and let's get some peanut butter, which is always fun to try to do. So there's some peanut butter, just like that. And then I need some sugar. And I just kind of stir it up a little bit. And you can use a whisk or you can use a spoon. You know how peanut butter is. Peanut butter is kind of a little tough. There we go. We got that ready to go. Now, let's mix up our next ingredients, which is going to be the sour cream and our water, just like that. Get that kind of going. I need some salt and pepper. So here's some pepper. I use the fresh ground flakes. I hear the water boiling for the rice. So let's go ahead and dump our rice in. Kind of high, nice and slow so it doesn't clump. Just like that. Give it a good stir. Do you see this little piece of foil that I put here on the counter? I like that so I don't mess up the counter with my spatulas and things. Okay, let's put that in and let's get that going. And get back to stirring the water and the sour cream. Okay, got that stirring. Now I'm going to need a whisk for this. Okay, that's all mixed. Now, let's take and mix our onions and some olive oil together. I have olive oil, and I'm just going to put in a drizzle. For me, that's a lot, because I like a lot of olive oil. And then I'm going to put this over here where I can reach it. And just put my onions in here. Just use about that much, I think, of the onions. I'll save the rest of that for another meal. Okay, let's get these going. So that'll be a few minutes. The onions and olive oil are starting to shimmer and starting to smell good. In just a minute, I'm going to put the rice in here with it and get that mixed together. So I'm just waiting for those onions to smell good. So the first thing I'm going to do here is turn off this burner. And I'm going to take this rice water and I'm going to pour into the measuring cup carefully and slowly. You could use a strainer if you think you need to on this. I don't really think you need to. Now, I'm going to put this rice in with the onions, just like that. And then I need to have 1 cup of this starch water. I have 1.5. That looks a little better. So I'm going to put that in here. Of course, when you do that, it cools things off. And then I'll go ahead and set this aside. And then just kind of stir this a little bit. This is a real simple meal. If I can make this meal, you can make it. And I'll tell you, it's going to taste good with all these ingredients. It should be really a good meal. It smells great right now. In a hot pan, pour in some olive oil. Make sure that's all the way on and good and hot. I can feel it. You want to put in the seeds. Just like that, and you want to roast them for a few minutes. Then we need to start on our meatballs. As a matter of fact, let's put a little salt, pepper here. Let's check on our rice and onions. That looks pretty good. I need some salt in here. And a little more pepper. I like pepper, if you haven't noticed. Okay, leave that go. Let's get started on the meatballs. I like to wear gloves. You can do with or without it. It's up to you. The recipe calls for 10 meatballs. Mix in your breadcrumbs. You gotta do this by hand, no easy way to do this. And you're just kind of squeezing, rotating at the same time. I should say that is, I think that's what you're supposed to do. Once again, remember, I'm an amateur just like you. So if I can do this, you can do this. And I'll tell you, so far this smells really good, and I can't wait to have these meatballs. Meatballs with the rice. Man, I'm in. The only thing better than this would be some chocolate Long John donuts. Which when I was a young firefighter and a contractor, that was one of the 4 food groups. I think it was just on the back of the pyramid list that we got in school from the government. Now, I'm just going to take like this, and some people use a scoop. I just take the chunks like this to start with. I just start forming these things, because I'm in a hurry. Kind of shows you here what you can get right away just by breaking it out. So there's 3, there's 6, there's 2 of us. So that'll be just like that, and then if you want, you can just kind of squish them together. It is smelling good. Let's just go ahead and stir these a little bit, just to kind of get them moving around. Matter of fact, probably should give them a shake. It's starting to smell really, really good. And let's check on our rice and onions. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Let's get my whisk clean. Now, let's go ahead and put the mix together here. Let's also bring in this peanut butter mix. Just like that. Now I also have a cup of water here too that I may need to use to thin this. So I have it, you'll add it as needed. This is looking really, really, really good. Let's go ahead and get this in this pan. Wow, everything really, really smells good. So this has been cooking for a while. You want to make sure you get these things stirred. Use a pot holder so you don't burn your fingers. I like just to move things around like this on the burner. And I'm going to take this lid off, and this is going to be really hot. Now you have to check these with a thermometer. You need 165 to 170. And I have 180, so these are done. So let's go ahead and start serving this up, and we can get on with eating this fantastic meal. I'm going to start out by stirring my rice into a little bit of a ball, and then I'm going to cut it in half since there's two of us. Kind of let it make a ball. Go to the center of my plate here, just like this. And then I'm going to work it out just like you do dough. Kind of work it out until it has a nice appearance. Then, once again, some salt, pepper, just like that. Then you want to grab your meatballs and put them on here nice and neat. I have 3 for Barb and 3 for me. Just like that. And then I have some sauce I'm going to put right on top. Just like that. Look at that, huh? Doesn't that look good? And then if you want, if you have something over here in your spices, like let's say you have parsley, oregano, basil, if you want, you can just do a sprinkle on top like this and just let it kind of get on the dish. And it just looks good like that. So that's the show for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye for now.